Hi soulmate, you're welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we are making a basic pattern for trouser. That's a basic trouser pattern, and we are making the front. So on your top left you see the measurements: trouser length, your waist, your hips, waist to hip, waist to knee, crotch, thigh, knee circumference, calf circumference, width circumference, ankle. So you take note of all the measurements. So I won't be giving you any measurements because I am using my own measurement and we are not the same body type. So let me give you guys this tip. It's compulsory to add 2 inches to your thigh measurements, hip measurements, and knee measurements for ease. So if you want to have that ease after making your trouser, add 2 inches to your thigh measurements, that is the circumference, the hip, and the knee. So that's that. So after making your borderline, you get the midpoint, and then get your hip line, your crotch line, your knee line, and your ankle. It's very important for that perfect fit. How to get a crotch extension? You calculate it by dividing your hip circumference by 10. So whatever your hip circumference is, you add 2 to the hip circumference and divide it by 10 minus 2. So whatever your answer is, that will be your crotch extension. Why am I giving you this? Because we will need it much later. So after getting all your lines, the next thing you need a square for the guideline. So the middle line, it's now the main guide. It's like your middle point in drafting the pattern. So how do you get the square? You divide your hip into 4 and you add your crotch extension. Whatever your hip is, that is plus the 2, you divide it into 4 and add your crotch extension. Remember the calculation we did before now. Whatever you got there, that is what you are going to add to whatever you have after dividing your hip. So after that, you come, let's say for example, whatever you had is 10, you put 5 on each side of the middle line, and then you've gotten your box. After doing that, you remove your crotch extension from the box so that it will not affect your measurement. It will not affect your pattern drafting. After that, whatever that is left, that is your main waist, your main hip, you look for the midpoint, then divide your hip, then you divide your waist into 4, get the midpoint, and then dot it on both sides. Please take note, if you pay attention to this video, you are going to get this pattern. I'm taking my time to explain it so that you'll be able to get it on your own. As you can see, I'm marking on both ends of the midpoint. It's that easy. So after that, you get your cuff and then link your waist from your hip to your waist, or your waist to your hip, anyone. You see where I drew? That is my new waist. my new waist. So after that, you go to the front and then you go down by 1 inch. That 1 inch works perfectly for size 12, size 14, size 16 and above. But if you are size 6, 8 and 10, you can actually work with half an inch. So after you go down by 1 inch, you link it up. Then that was me trying to explain that is an angle 90. You divide it, making it angle 45. Get the midpoint, divide it. So you go up by 1 inch, making it angle 45. Yeah, you go up by 1 inch. So after you go up by 1 inch, you try to link up your, where I'm pointing. You see your crotch extension, your angle 45 and your hip line. The three of them must link up at once to get that perfect smooth crotch extension for the front pattern. So you can see, so after that, you now get your ruler and draw it straight to meet up to your waistline. If you look at this very well, you see that our pattern is coming together. So we are getting there. It's a marker I can't clean. I just wanted to correct something and blend it in. So after that, the next thing is your knee circumference. Remember, after getting your knee circumference, you're going to add 2 to it, and then you divide it by 2. Then put the middle, whatever you got, put it, and then you link it up on both sides. The middle line is now the style line. You link from your knee line to your thigh line. So I was trying to explain that if you do not have that curve, there is another method. If you only have this other ruler, there's another method for getting that curve in between the thigh. So you check your line, whatever you get from your thigh line to your knee line, whatever you get, you divide it into 2. Divide it into 2, then go in by half. You go in by half, then link it up. Let it go once. If you notice my curve, I would have actually gotten the deep curve, but I'm just explaining. If you have this other ruler, you can actually use it and it will work for you. That's me trying to explain that they all have to meet at once. So you can see our trouser is getting together. So my paper was actually small, so I had to extend it because of the length I'll be using. So now we'll be getting our trouser length. The trouser length is 42. So after getting your trouser length, your ankle, you divide whatever you have on your ankle. You divide your ankle into 2, and then whatever you have, you put it on both ways. So you can see. That is it. You have gotten your basic front pattern for trouser. Your basic trouser front pattern